Hi everybody, my name's Sue Cox, and as most of you know, I am an acupuncturist. I'm also a teacher of acupuncture and um, the neuroscience of addiction. I'm also in my 50th year of recovery from addiction. So in my 50th year, I'm allowing myself this indulgence, and that is a few short videos of my thoughts on recovery as I get old, and in the spirit of sharing the odds and ends that I've learned over the years. I've seen lots of people in my practice over the years, some people with bad backs and infertility and irritable bowel syndrome and all the usual things that people go to acupuncturists for. But inevitably, because of my involvement in the addiction world, I've also seen a lot of people who've had sometimes a quite severe addiction problem, and they often come to me as what they see as the softer option. Um, it isn't, but sometimes it's perceived that way, and they say, "Well, I'm not that bad," as they embark from their third detox. I've never upset anybody, as they pick themselves up off the floor after showing their knickers all over the place on the dance floor. Maybe they woke up with somebody they'd never clapped eyes on. All sorts of things had happened to them. Maybe they'd had a car accident. Maybe they got away with it. But they would say they were not that bad. So therefore, maybe they'd cut down. Maybe they'd only use at weekends. Maybe they would only snort the stuff and not inject it. So many maybes. And words don't always penetrate when people are feeling like that. So despite my heart saying this is not going to work, you really need to think about how severe this has become, the severity of your situation. They just were not able to grow over that line, just to have a look at things as they actually are. And what a shame, and what they're missing, and that joy of sobriety and joy of recovery that I've been lucky to be given is denied them in many ways. And I'm reminded of my younger daughter. When she was small, she was short-sighted, and I didn't pick it up. The school eye clinic didn't pick it up. And in fact, we didn't realise how short-sighted she was until she was 8. And at that point, she badly needed to wear glasses. And she was horrified. She cried, she pleaded, she was heartbroken. She thought they were ugly, that people would laugh at her. She couldn't bear it. She absolutely begged it. And even I was thinking, well, maybe a bit later on, maybe this, maybe that. But clearly she wasn't seeing properly. So my job was to try and persuade her that they weren't that bad, that we'd buy her some glasses that looked like sunglasses and they'd look quite cool. And gradually she stopped protesting quite so much and allowed me to put the glasses on, still with tears streaming down her face and saying she would never wear them. We lived in a house that was a long garden at the back, and at the end of it was a road with some trees, and beyond that was a railway line. And as she put the glasses on and looked out of the window, still crying, she said, "Oh, I didn't realise you could see the railway line from here." And she was mesmerised. And then she looked around, she said, "Oh, Mum, look at that tree. I didn't realise that was there." She was enchanted by what she was seeing. She went out into the garden. She was looking at the hedges. She was looking back at the house. There was a joy on her face I'd never seen quite before, because it was almost like a whole world had opened up for her. In fact, that's exactly what had happened. As we walked to school, she saw everyday things that we'd taken for granted for years. She was excited by them. They were all magical. She didn't want to take the glasses off, even when she went to bed. So she didn't want to go back to having no glasses and no beauty in the world. and half sight, she wouldn't have dreamt of it. She wanted to keep on seeing more and more and more of the world that she obviously had missed. And recovery is sometimes a bit like that, trying to explain to somebody what it will be like if they put those glasses on. They're not going to be able to see that until they look through them. So still tears streaming down their faces, still heartbroken, still thinking maybe, try them on. Try whole recovery on. Look through the lens of recovery and see if it doesn't open up a whole new beautiful world for you. It has for me. We often say in my particular fellowship, you can have a life beyond your wildest dreams. And it's absolutely true. Yes, there are ups and downs because that is what life is all about. But without those glasses on, I don't want to have half a life. And you therapists, you lovely people that I have taught and love, why offer people half a recovery? Why give them a pair of glasses that only shows half of the world? Why not allow them to see the possibilities of a whole recovery? Because without it, they're only going to have half life. And that's not okay. And you people who are considering recovery, who think that it's going to be ugly or miserable or morbid or sad, just try it on. Try and look through that lens and see if you don't see a whole new world opening up for you. I hope you're going to have a good day. I certainly am. So I will see you soon. Bye.